Hey everyone, Tactics here with another round of 9.1 PTR changes, and this week we have a ton of Mythic Plus stuff, so affix and dungeon tuning, whether it be trash or bosses, with nerfs to both Storming and Necrotic, as well as some of the more difficult bosses such as Hakar in the other side, and Crixus in Sanguine Depths. Still no release date as of yet, but I'm definitely on the announced next week sometime train, though that could just be the copium talking. With that said, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like and subscribe to be notified when I post more 9.1 content, and let's start off with the affix nerfs. So, Storming actually got a huge hit this week on the PTR, so it now travels much slower, making it easier to dodge. It always travels clockwise now, so it's more predictable. You can pretty much always position yourself to be just beside the Storming and always know you're going to miss it. The damage has been nerfed slightly, 15% down to 12%, and it now despawns when it hits just one player. So there's a little video of that here, right? Going much slower than it normally does, and as soon as someone touches it, it's gone. So great nerf. This was a super annoying affix for melee players and tanks, and now honestly it seems pretty equivalent to what Volcanic is for ranged, which I think was the initial intention of this affix anyway. So it is now basically the Volcanic of melee. So that's a great spot for it to be in. It makes this so much less annoying, and it's just great change. Necrotic also nerfed. So this one's much simpler. Basically, it now applies on every other melee swing instead of every melee swing. So just 50% reduction in the rate of it being applied for all mobs. So great change for tanks. It currently works this way already on bosses, I believe. Yeah, but it's now also being applied to the trash in a dungeon as well. So it should make that just a little bit easier for all tanks to manage. Now, aside from that, we have some tuning to the bosses, as I mentioned. So Dealer xy'exa and Hakar both got hits in the other side. Dealer xy'exa got about a 15% nerf to her lightning damage, and then the vulnerability is now a 5% lightning damage, arcane lightning damage vulnerability. So it's not a general arcane damage vulnerability, but it is a bit higher percent. But basically what this means is that even when this is fully stacked up, you'll be taking less damage from the lightning than you were previously, and it now also won't amplify any of the other effects like the bomb detonation or the artificer like beams. So good change, nice little nerf to that boss there. Hakar, this is the best change by far. So basically what happens now is Hakar will do nothing when he has the blood barrier up. That is the main change here. So basically he won't auto attack you sometimes, he won't gain energy, and that is the main thing. He will not gain energy while the shield is up, which was previously the main problem with this boss, right? It became a race, so if you got too many shields up near the end, you would have too many ads to deal with, and he would just keep the timer ticking, and he would just get these massive shields, and you would just get overwhelmed. That is no longer the case. His energy ticker stops when he has the shield up. He won't do anything, so you are free to kind of stop and deal with ads if you need to, let your cooldowns regen, and then push his shield down and then just go. So fantastic change that makes this boss so much easier to deal with, especially with the loss of like Prideful and Lusting and just nuking this guy. So really good change there. Amarth also saw a change to his damage increase here, so pretty decent nerf to that. I think it's another like 15-20% nerf there. And then Crixus, so he saw a decent nerf to Juggernaut Rush, which was at his charge that deals the split physical damage, so that saw a pretty decent nerf, as well as the Orb Soak, so that also saw a nerf as well. So, and this boss actually had, it was pretty high damage. I think it was a tad bit more than the second boss here, which I know a lot of people are also not a big fan of. But yeah, this was definitely a nice little nerf, makes this a lot easier to deal with, especially on Tyrannical weeks, which we are now probably expected to push on to get some of that Mythic Plus score, which we'll talk about a little bit later in this video. There was also a change on Xy'exa, which was the Rogue in Theater of Pain on the first boss. It looks like she was actually added back into the fight. If you remember, she was removed halfway through this season in a hotfix. So it looks like she's back, and she's doing a little bit more damage than before. So I don't know why she was honestly removed in the first place. She wasn't terribly difficult to deal with, and they're adding her back now apparently. So I guess we'll see if that stays in or not. But as of now, they've added her back. In terms of trash stuff, so Sanguine Depth saw a couple nerfs. So they nerfed the damage on the Explosive Anger. So that was an interruptible curse that would go on a random player. It would give them a bit of a damage buff, but if you let it expire without dispelling, it would do a big chunk of damage. So that hits a little bit less hard. And then the Gargoyles, their Severing Slice ability, it's now no longer a frontal cone. It's now just a target on their aggro target. So melee have one less thing to worry about there. Though I'm not 100% sure if this makes it so tanks can no longer avoid the actual application. So we'll have to see if that works still. Also, Atonement, we saw Thrash get kind of a nerf with a buff. So the previous strategy was to kind of have your range just stand more than 40 yards away to not take damage. Now that no longer works because it's 60 yards. So, I mean, maybe they do end up moving 60 yards away when he does a Thrash. I don't know, but it seems a little bit too far. But the damage was nerfed by a little under 30%. So, definitely going to overall increase the damage you're taking from Thrash just because everyone's going to be getting hit by it. But the actual hits, the individual hits themselves are going to be smaller. So we'll have to see how that plays out. On top of this, though, Wicked Bolt, the tank hits from the Obliterators here also got a little bit of an increase, which is a little spooky. We'll have to see how that goes. Alright, moving on. Tormented. So it got a bunch of changes this week on the PTR. Namely, every single lieutenant got an additional ability, and then Sagadon got a full rework. So, the new ability for Incinerator Arcaleth, he basically has a large AoE hit that hits all players within 60 yards again, so you're not really going to be able to dodge this. Dealing about 15,000 on a plus 10 keystone. This can also be amplified again, if you remember, by the 100% fire damage taken increase. And then he also got a flat 33% buff to his pulsing fire damage already. This guy's going to be scary. Honestly, the way it is now, like this guy is going to be the limiting factor on higher keys, in my opinion. Currently, I think in general some of these lieutenants are a tad bit overtuned. So we'll have to see how scaling works on them, because this is already looking pretty spooky here. Maybe something like stopping scaling on plus 15, but even that I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's the play. They need to do something about the scaling and make sure it doesn't get too out of control, because in this state Incinerator Arcaleth is in, I am scared. This guy is scary. Oros Cold Heart. So his new ability, he occasionally just spawns swirlies over 5 seconds all over the place. A 3.5 yard impact area. So you gotta kind of dance with your 50% slow there. For Executioner Veruth, Wave of Terror. Basically, it's an AoE damage and fear anyone not standing on top of an ally. This one's not too bad to deal with because apparently it is LOSable, just like his Raise ability, which people were doing before. So you can LOS this, and then the melee can just kind of stand on top of each other, and they'll be okay. So Sagadon, full rework. So he has Crush still, a big tank buster. If the tank isn't in range, he'll just grip them back to him, so you can't really kite this guy. He's got this AoE 60 yard hit again, kind of like the fire hit, but this is just his regular ability. And he also has this Massive Smash, which is a 12 yard AoE hit. He'll grip everyone into him and put bindings around them, and you can either use some sort of freedom to get yourself out, right? Freedom, Tiger's Lust, Druid Shift, all those things will free yourself. You can't do that. You can kill these roots. So you can kill these roots instead and then run out of the 12 yard circle. I believe you have 8 seconds. Yeah, 8 seconds to get out of that 12 yard circle before you get smashed. So yeah, in general, these other changes, they're not too terrible, but I still think, at least in their current state, these guys are going to be a little rough for the benefit they give on higher keys. And I don't know. We'll have to see how it plays out. We'll need to see the scaling, the final scaling. But currently, slightly worried that scaling will get out of control, similar to how Prideful did as soon as you hit like a plus 20. So we'll have to see how that goes. We also, I think, though, a few days before this, we got the BOE release, and basically ton less BOEs, which I'm happy with. I'm all for this, having less BOEs in the game. So only 2 per slot, so 2 cloth, 2 leather, 2 mail, 2 plate, no generals, so just 2 BOEs. So I am happy with that. And aside from that, we just had a couple of posts from Blizzard, one focusing on Korthia and like Maw updates. Nothing terribly new here, just going over like the mounts, the new Covenant assaults, a couple of the new reps, getting rid of the Eye of the Jailer, that kind of stuff. I'll post this in the description if you guys want to read it for yourself, but nothing we didn't know about there. As well as a post on the new Mythic Plus dungeon rating, how that works, how it looks in the UI, all those kinds of things. I'll post that down as well. But that is it for this week's updates, guys. Apologies for the small hiatus I had between posting there for a little bit. I've been working on a ton of videos, guides, and predictions for 9.1, which I want to be as accurate and insightful as possible, so I've just been holding on to them to see a few more of the PTR tuning passes. But you should start to see a steady stream of those coming out in the next few days and weeks. So be sure to subscribe over on my channel to be notified when those get posted. You can also check out my stream at Tactics, where I've been doing some of the Tormented seasonal affix keys from a tank POV. So if that interests you, feel free to drop by. That's all for now, though, guys. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.